minerals without talking to your healthcare team first. This is so important. There are so many resources out there that claim that they can cure kidney disease by taking a certain supplement or a certain vitamin. And we know that's just not true, right? If that was the case, then no one would have kidney disease and we'd all be so, our kidneys would all be so healthy. And so we want to make sure we are following our doctor's guidelines. And one thing that I do want to make everyone aware of is our kidneys are responsible for filtering out all the toxins, all the waste products in our body. But when you have kidney disease, your kidneys aren't able to do that as efficiently. So when you start to introduce all these supplements, herbs, vitamins, minerals into your body, your kidneys have to try and get that out of your body. That's their job, but a lot of times they can't. And then it can build up and become harmful for you. So avoid taking anything without talking to your doctor or dietitian first.
Exactly. As you know, like you see these as seen on TV or different people in here with like infomercials that say, our product can do this, our product can do that. More than likely, these products are too good to be true. And right. If they sound like they're too good to be true, then most likely they are. Mm-hmm. And, most of them are scams. And a lot of supplements are not even federally regulated by the FDA. So you have to be really, really careful what you're putting in your body. And again, I'm going to say it again, refer back to your team, ask questions, do your research, definitely talk to someone that knows more than you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, right? We're all always learning. We're always trying to educate ourselves, but your best bet is to go to someone who is an expert on, kidney disease, which is going to be your nephrologist, your doctors.
Whether you faced a traumatic life event or a near-death experience, overcome great challenges and adversity, we share stories just like these right here on our Hope with Jonathan podcast. Hello, my name is Jonathan Traylor. Back in July of 2019, I crashed right into dialysis. It was one of the most scariest times of my life. Without a lot of knowledge of chronic kidney disease, I really didn't know what I was fighting, and I was really scared, didn't know where to turn to. We share warrior stories similar to these right here on our Hope with Jonathan podcast. So come follow us and listen as we journey into the deep right here on the Hope with Jonathan podcast. Hope with Jonathan podcast is a Hope Media production. Never let hope become a memory. Hope with Jonathan podcast is a Hope Media production.
Hello, Kelsey. How's it going?
Hey, Jonathan. I'm good. How are you?
It took me a second there to find my button, but I found it.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting to be back. As you guys know, I took a small break, started working and getting involved in my career, but I wanted to start doing more podcasts again. And I thought, you know what, we're gonna contact Kelsey, and we had done some in the past, and reach out to her and see if she would like to do one with us. So really excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and congratulations on, getting back to your career and starting work and all that. That's so exciting. So I wish you the best.
I appreciate that. It's a huge blessing to be able to do it again. And, I wouldn't be able to do what I do every day if it wouldn't have been for my donor. So shout out to my donor and my donor family. My life has been forever changed because of that. But on that note, for all the ones that may come across this video later on that don't know who Kelsey Reed is, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So, for those of you who may not know me, I am a kidney dietitian. I'm based in the Philadelphia area on the East Coast, so a little ways away from Jonathan. And I
Yep.
work with clients from all over the country. So, clients who have CKD or maybe, stage one all the way to stage five. So, I work with a really wide variety of people with CKD to help them learn how to eat for their kidney disease in a healthy way for the rest of their life. My goal with my clients is for them to feel confident with eating so they can go to the grocery store or go out to eat and do everything else in life with total confidence when it comes to eating. And as Jonathan knows, I used to work in dialysis, and that is really where I saw just such a lack of support given to those in the kidney community in terms of eating for their kidney disease, no matter what stage. And my dialysis patients would tell me, "Oh yeah, we weren't told anything. We were just told, 'Hey, I'll see you on dialysis.'" And that is what really got me started in my private practice, helping people before dialysis to give them that support that they deserve, because it's just completely mind blowing that a lot of people with CKD don't get any support or guidance on what to eat for CKD.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, before I ever got diagnosed with kidney failure and crashed into dialysis, a lot of people know my story. Man, I didn't know anything about dialysis, kidney failure, and renal diets, and phosphorus, potassium, all these different medical terminology, and it is a lot, especially when you get diagnosed and they start throwing all
Mhm.
these medical terminology words that you've never heard before. It can
Yep.
cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. And spending time in the grocery store, like you mentioned, I remember when I first came out of the hospital, me and my wife actually walked up and down aisles of the grocery store for like 3 hours.
Goodness.
And we were just reading backs, bags of back of bags and boxes, and looking at different ingredients and finding out that, man, some of the stuff that we have been eating for years is just really terrible for.
Mhm.
But with that being said, Kelsey, I want to go ahead and roll into this. We're going to be talking about 5 tips, to help you get started when following the renal diet. So, what type of tips do you want to start with a countdown, or do you have like a top five, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, we love our top 5 lists. So let's start with the countdown. Let's start with maybe that number 5.
Okay.
I mean, all of these things are so important when it comes to eating for your CKD and knowing how to follow a kidney-friendly or renal diet. And really, that number 5 one is going to be, don't believe everything you read on Google. And this is important because when you start to read on Google and search for renal diet information or kidney friendly recipes, you're going to find a whole lot of information that is totally outdated. And it's a lot of misinformation too. I mean, if we were to Google right now, can you eat beans with CKD? We would find a million different websites with totally different answers. And the reason why there is so much conflicting information on Google is because a one size fits all approach to kidney disease is really non-existent. It just doesn't work. And so when you read all these things online, it can start to confuse you and overwhelm you even more. So before you get confused, before you get overwhelmed by this, just avoid it if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be very overwhelming, and some of the sites that I've visited when I crashed into dialysis and started
Mhm.
googling like kidney failure and and the renal diet and all this stuff. I mean, according to some of those sites, I shouldn't even be sitting here right now. So
Right.
you have to be really careful of what you get a
Mhm.
hold of and read, and definitely always refer to your team, because just because one person has a diagnosis or their story is not your story. So you
Yep.
have to definitely always refer to your team. And we want to reiterate that for this show as well, that this is, no way, shape, or form, any information here is not a medical diagnosis or a prescription for anyone to follow. Please refer to your team. And I believe that's really a safe play in all aspects of your medical care.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, definitely. And that kind of leads me into the next one, number 4, which is don't take any supplements, vitamins, minerals without talking to your healthcare team first. This is so important. There are so many resources out there that claim that they can cure kidney disease by taking a certain supplement or a certain vitamin, and we know that's just not true, right? If that was the case, then no one would have kidney disease and we'd all be so, our kidneys would all be so healthy. And
Sure.
so we want to make sure we are following our doctor's guidelines. And
Yep.
one thing that I do want to make everyone aware of is our kidneys are responsible for filtering out all the toxins, all the waste products in our body. But when you have kidney disease, your kidneys aren't able to do that as efficiently. So when you start to introduce all these supplements, herbs, vitamins, minerals into your body, your kidneys have to try and get that out of your body. That's their job, but a lot of times they can't. And then it can build up and become harmful for you. So avoid taking anything without talking to your doctor or dietitian first.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And, as you know, like you see these as seen on TV or different people in here with like infomercials that say, our product can do this, our product can do that. More than likely, these products are too good to be true. And
Right.
if they sound like they're too good to be true, then most likely they are. And
Mhm.
most of them are scams, and a lot of supplements are not even federally regulated by the FDA. So you have to be really, really careful what you're putting in your body. And again, I'm going to say it again, refer back to your team, ask questions, do your research, definitely talk to someone that knows more than you.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, right? We're all always learning. We're always trying to educate ourselves, but your best bet is to go to someone who is an expert on,
Mhm.
kidney disease, which is going to be your nephrologist, your doctors. You can also talk with your kidney dietitian as well if you're working with one.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right. So number three.
Yeah, so this one's a good one. You might know what I'm going to say, but number three is going to be to work with a kidney dietitian if you can, if you have access to that, if you have the resources to do so. And this is because, as Jonathan and I have been saying, there is just so much conflicting information out there. There is so much that goes into a renal diet, a kidney friendly diet. And a kidney dietitian is the expert in eating for your CKD, or, if you're on dialysis, if you have kidney stones, if you've had a transplant. And I specifically want to emphasize kidney dietitian. So, as dietitians, as registered dietitians in the United States, we can work with a really large variety of people, maybe diabetes or people with heart disease or high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And that's what's so amazing about our profession. We have a lot of skills, but when you are not working with someone who specializes in kidney disease, you might not get the best support possible. So, working with someone who actually specializes in that, like myself, a renal dietitian, is going to be really important so that you can get that support that you deserve.
Absolutely. Kelsey, let me ask you this. What do you think the main reason why people are either afraid or apprehensive of contacting a renal dietitian?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that I see a lot of doctors' offices doing a better job of this, but I really think it starts there. And there is such a lack of education to patients in the kidney community. I have clients who I work with who their doctors just say, "Okay, you have CKD, and here's a pamphlet on a low sodium diet. Good luck." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, but wait, how do I even how
Right.
do I do this? I love these foods. How am I supposed to eat them if they have sodium in them?" And so what the doctor should be doing is saying, here's a pamphlet, but I'm also going to refer you to this dietitian who can help guide you and help support you on this journey, because it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. It might be confusing for you, and you need that support. You deserve that support. So there's definitely that lack of referring to a dietitian in doctors' offices for sure.
Absolutely. And we were talking about earlier, talking to a professional, someone that knows more than you do about a subject, not relying upon Google or reading a
Mhm.
bunch of stuff that you may read that may not be entirely correct, or
Mhm.
completely outdated from the
Yeah.
Stone Ages. So
Yeah.
uh, you want to find someone current and up to date and that knows what they're talking about and a professional.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that there's many ways people can contact you if they were interested in contacting you, and we'll share that information at the end of the broadcast. But I think it's definitely, I would say that doctors need to play especially nephrologists, and there's many things that I think that they need to push. Um, uh, but one of them I think it should be pushing you toward consulting with a good solid renal dietitian that can help you get started, because the days to me of handing someone a pamphlet in 2022 and expect them to go home and read that and learn from that, those days are gone. And
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think you make a really good point. Like, there just needs to be so much more support given. And that handout, that pamphlet is not going to cut it.
no,
And I do want to share with everyone too who's listening that you can actually go to the National Kidney Foundation website, and they have a dietitian directory. So you can actually look up renal dietitians in your state in the United States. I know I'm licensed in about 12 different states in the US. So you'll see my name under some of those states, but there are a lot of other renal dietitians out there, and you can find them all on that directory. It's totally free to access it, and they give you all the contact information for all those dietitians, so you can call around, find one that works for you. You can also ask your nephrologist office or your primary care office as well.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend the National Kidney Foundation. I'm active with them as an ambassador. Also, I'm on the CAC committee, which we talk about, and we meet like once a month and talk about ideals and things that we're doing in the kidney community. And we also try to address issues that are going on inside of the community. But I highly recommend NKF. They're a wealth of knowledge. Their website is great. They have a lot of information there. So, like I said, go check it out. So, number two.
Yeah. Okay. So number two, now we're getting into more of like the diet related things. So number two is going to be to follow a more plant-based diet. And we've talked about fruits and veggies before on previous podcasts. So
Sure,
you know my love for those.
sure,
But following a more plant-based diet has been shown to help manage kidney disease, not just kidney disease, but also blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, blood sugars, if you have diabetes or prediabetes. So it really has so many health benefits to it. But I know we've talked about this before. Plant based doesn't mean you have to follow a vegan diet. Plant based really just means adding in more plant foods. So this is
sure.
fruits, vegetables, whole grains, those nice plant foods that are going to have fiber and lots of vitamins and minerals in there.
Yeah. It's surprising that some would find out if you do the research that plant-based diet, there are certain plants and vegetables and things like that that actually have the necessary nutrients and protein and things like that.
Mhm.
So you can actually find protein from vegetables and different sources other than just eating meat all the time. Am I correct
Yes.
about that, Kelsey?
Yes, I love that you said that. That is exactly right. And that's something I help coach my clients with, because before you're on dialysis, you likely need a protein restriction. But again, this is very individualized. You need to work with your dietitian to make sure that that's the right fit for you.
Sure.
But once you're on dialysis, you likely need more protein. But either way, you can start to follow a more plant-based diet and get protein from plant foods. Like, for example, quinoa, is a whole grain that maybe some of us have heard of or seen at restaurants or in the grocery store. And that has lots of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, but it also has protein in it. So we can get as much protein from quinoa as we can from one egg. So it's just a different source of protein that is a little bit easier on the kidneys.
Sure. Yeah, and you know what? You can always try new things. That's always exciting as
Mhm.
well. So if you've never tried something such as quinoa,
Mhm.
you can go check that out in your grocery store. I know HEB. I'm here in Texas, so when you walk into HEB, they have like a unlimited supply of like vegetables and just all kind of different ones that I've never even seen before. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that if you went and checked out your local grocery store, you can find some of these other vegetables that you're speaking of. It seems like in the American diet, it's just like green beans and corn and
Mhm.
broccoli and cauliflower. So some of these other ones may be new to you, but possibly would be beneficial to you to definitely check out.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't hurt to try something new. If you totally hate it, don't force yourself to eat it, but you may end up loving it and it could be a new staple in your diet and just to give you more variety too. I know a lot of times, I like to recommend new fruits or vegetables for some of my clients and new grains. So quinoa, farro, millet, buckwheat are some great grains, but also in terms of fruits and veggies, doing things like arugula or Brussels sprouts, kale. Those can be really nice additions to your diet and can give you more variety than maybe if you do broccoli and green beans and corn all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love to try new things, so definitely don't be afraid to step out there and try new things. You'll be surprised. You just never know.
Yeah, and the other one too is tofu. That's a great plant-based protein, and it's made from soybeans, rather than, eggs or chicken, which is an animal-based protein. So that's something that can be really helpful for you. But I know a lot of my clients are always a little hesitant to try it. And one of the great things about that is, again, if you don't like it, you can totally get rid of it, give it to a family member, or some stores will let you return it and you can try something else. So never hurts to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, you might be surprised. You might actually like it. So,
Yeah,
yep. So,
exactly.
and I think we can all use something new in our palate. I mean, it seems like we always eat the same old stuff. So, yeah, it's interesting to be able to find something new and say, "Hey, I actually like this." So that's kind of exciting, especially to your tongue.
Yeah, it is exciting and it kind of just makes eating a little bit more enjoyable sometimes too. Like if you're stuck in that rut and you're like, "Oh, I'm eating all the same things over and over again." It
Yep,
just makes it a little more fun.
absolutely. Yep. So let's go with the. We're at number one, huh?
We're at number one. I don't know if this is going to surprise you or not. You tell me. But
Okay.
I thought that this is truly one of the most important things when it comes to following a renal diet, following a kidney-friendly diet. And typically across the board, it is the case for everyone with CKD stages 1 through 5, not on dialysis, or if you are on dialysis, or even if you've had a transplant or have kidney stones. So anyone dealing with any type of kidney issues. All right. Number one is follow a lower sodium diet. Did that
Okay.
surprise you?
No, not really.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad. You're like, I got this. I'm a pro, so I'm good. Yes. So, following a lower sodium diet is something that sometimes is overlooked.
Hmm.
Maybe we focus on potassium or phosphorus, but really, in reality, most people don't need to limit phosphorus or potassium with CKD.
Hmm.
But sodium is a nutrient that affects blood pressure and kidney function. So, if we're following a lower sodium diet, we're helping to protect the heart and the kidneys, which is so important for managing kidney disease, no matter if it's, before dialysis, during, or transplant, whatever, stage of kidney disease you might be in. And, uh, when it comes to following a low sodium diet, this doesn't always mean you have to completely cut out salt or salty foods, but it really means that you should start trying to be very mindful of how much salt you're actually getting in a day, how much sodium you know, you're consuming each day because it might be more than you actually realize.
Oh, absolutely. I guess the reason why I wasn't surprised is because I'm already a kidney patient, so I
Yeah.
pretty much know I got to watch my sodium. But even after transplant, as you guys know, I'm a kidney transplant recipient, but it is just a treatment for kidney disease. So you do have to be mindful, even with a transplant. You have to be mindful of how much sodium you're taking in as well. So it's definitely a good thing to practice. I'll be honest with you, before I experienced kidney failure, I was actually putting salt on my food every time I went to a restaurant. That all stopped once I got diagnosed with kidney failure and on dialysis. I completely abstained from salt, from putting or adding salt, I should say. And
Mhm,
I remember being like really good at it, like not adding any sodium, and the taste of food just completely changed for me.
mhm,
And once I got transplanted, my phosphorus levels were still extremely low. So the nephrologist said, you need to take your husband and go get a fast food cheeseburger or something. And we got to get his phosphorus up. So they went and told me to go get a chocolate shake. I'm not recommending this to anyone. I'm just telling you what my nephrologist told my wife. They said we got to get his phosphorus up extremely low. He's been on all these binders and really being mindful. So we got to get it back up a little bit. So they took me to, I think we went to a Mexican restaurant, and I kid you not, like I tasted the food and I was like, wow, this is so salty, and so like you were talking about, it's amazing how much salt and sodium is already added to our meals, especially a lot of like boxed meals, frozen meals, things that are, have to be stored for a long time or have a long shelf life. Most of them have a lot of, sodium and salt in them. You don't need to, add any sodium or salt to them because they're full of sodium. So yeah, you definitely have to be mindful of those type of things.
Yeah, definitely. And you are exactly right. When you go out to eat, that's typically where you're going to get the most sodium in your diet from. If you're someone who doesn't go out to eat often, then you probably don't have to worry a whole lot about your sodium intake unless you're adding salt to everything. But if you are going out to eat, that is totally doable. You can definitely fit that into a renal kidney friendly diet. But I would definitely suggest trying to make some tweaks and maybe some modifications to some of your meals to cut back a little bit on sodium, like in the dressings, the salsas, sauces. That's where you're going to find quite a bit of it because they use it to flavor their foods, right? They want their
Absolutely.
restaurant food to taste amazing so that you keep coming back.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So we've covered, 5 tips, for following the renal diet, which has been excellent. It's been awesome. But for those, you mentioned this just a second ago about fast food. And I just have a really quick question. Like,
Mhm.
if you could talk to anybody out there and tell them about following the renal diet, and give them maybe some ideals of maybe some restaurants or types of food that maybe they could eat, starting off with the renal diet at possibly maybe if they have to eat it at a fast food place or a restaurant, what would
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
recommend?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So, when it comes to going out to eat, like I said, you want to try and ask for those modifications, maybe little tweaks to your food if you can to cut back on sodium. But one of the other great things you can do is if it's a fast food restaurant or a chain restaurant like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, even, you can actually go online and look up their nutrition information. And so, what I'll do for a lot of my clients who want recommendations for some of those places is I will go on their website, look up the nutrition information, and look at the sodium. And I'll pick the lower sodium options for them so that they know what some great options are. Now, Taco Bell is actually a better option for those with kidney disease because they do have some lower sodium items on the menu. They have more plant-based items on the menu. So
Wow.
if you like Taco Bell, that can fit definitely into your diet. And Taco Bell even has dietitians working for them to help them develop their menu and nutritional information. So that is a great plus, right? They have a dietitian on their side, which is nice.
Wow.
Another one, yeah, isn't that cool?
I would have never thought Taco Bell. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, they've done a lot of revamping of their food and menu over the last few years. And when you look at the nutrition information, it's actually pretty doable. Now, all fast food is going to be high in sodium. That's
True.
something that you're not going to be able to avoid, but you can choose the lower sodium options for sure.
True.
I also like to recommend like Subway, and some people don't have it in their area. Some people do. Some people hate it. Some people love it. but
Hmm.
you can get some really nice options there. I know my clients love the Veggie Delight. You can pick your bread, maybe you get a whole grain one, maybe you add cheese, maybe you don't, and you load it up with veggies. That's a nice option that's kidney friendly, lower sodium, or plant-based.
What about their bread though? I mean, is there a certain bread? Because they have different, types of breads, and so.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. So some of them are going to be higher in sodium than others.
Hmm.
So I believe, just off the top of my head, I think that the regular, I think it's called Italian bread, maybe just the white
Okay.
bread and the multigrain are good options.
Hmm.
But again, you can also, if you're like, oh, I don't like those two, I want another one, you can go on their website and actually look at the sodium in that bread. And now, bread is going to be a food that can be high in sodium. So, always best to just check that out and make sure
Yeah.
it fits for you.
Yeah, I remember when they came in my hospital room and started talking to me about the renal diet, and they immediately told me that I had to only eat white bread.
Yeah.
Is that a recommendation that you uphold as well?
No, that is definitely not a recommendation I would tell people with kidney disease, no matter what stage you're in. And the reason why is because that is very outdated information. And that is something that used to be told to a lot of people, because whole grain bread, whole grain pasta, brown rice can have more potassium in it. But it also has more fiber and usually more nutrients in it, which is what we want. That fiber and those vitamins and minerals really can help control your kidney disease, your heart health, your blood sugars a lot better. So, choosing those whole grain, whole wheat products is really important. And a lot of people don't need to limit potassium. If you do, of course, keep that in mind. But if you don't, there's no reason to avoid whole grain or whole wheat products.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, listen, we have been on for around 30 minutes, and I like to keep these kind of short to where people will want to continue to watch them. Uh, Lots of information has been packed into these 30 minutes, so it's been incredible. I'm really excited that we had Kelsey Reed on here. Thanks again, Kelsey, for coming on and sharing with us. I want you to take an opportunity to tell people where they can find you. I know you're pretty popular on Instagram. You're pretty popular on apps like TikTok. So you tell everybody where people can find you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me so much. I appreciate it. I love chatting with you and sharing tons of tips for everyone. So you can actually find me on Instagram and TikTok, like Jonathan said, at ckd.nutrition.coach. The same username on both platforms. You can also join my free Facebook community to get tips and tricks for eating for your CKD. It's CKD Nutrition Free Community. And then you can find me on my website at ckdnutrition.com.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, she's been known to show up. I think she did a Zoom call with Kidney Solutions, who
Mhm.
I'm affiliated with as well, with Kent Bressler, and I believe you connected with Shane Blanchard of
Mhm.
Midwest Kidney Warriors. So, talk about what you discuss in these type of Zoom calls with different groups and things like that.
Yeah, so a lot of times I'll join different support groups or different organizations to really answer questions from the kidney community and give support that way, because there's such a lack of support given and there's so much information. I like to help kind of narrow it down a little bit for people and really make it easy to understand. So I'm always answering questions there, as well as in my Facebook community too.
Awesome, awesome. Any words of hope or any words of wisdom for anyone that is newly diagnosed, fixing to start on the renal diet, or and just some sort of encouragement that you would like to leave with us before we end the show?
Yeah, of course. So, this is something that a lot of my clients tell me as well. So, I want to share it with you. If you're newly diagnosed or, about to start following a more kidney friendly diet, it's that there is hope. You can do this. And even though you might find websites or, Google might tell you to avoid certain things, most likely you don't have to. So, you are going to get through this. You are going to be able to manage your kidney health in the best way for you and do what works best for you. And don't ever forget that. And just don't believe everything you read online.
Awesome. Awesome information. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this tonight. This has been very beneficial. Lots of information shared. Kelsey's been awesome guest. So we're gonna bring her back soon. Talk about something else. We'll figure out what the topic will be, but she's always very informative. So guys, please go check her out. If you're not already following, hit that follow, subscribe, like, whatever it is, whatever app it is, and go check out Kelsey Reed. Thanks again, Kelsey. Really appreciate you. You guys take care. God bless. Take care of your kidneys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey guys, have you been over to hopewithjonathan.com? You can actually listen to the audio podcast, watch live streaming interviews, purchase merch to help support Hope with Jonathan podcast, read blogs, and much, much more. For more information on this, go check out hopewithjonathan.com, where we share stories of hope.